Hello, welcome back to my channel. My name is Alicia. Thank you so much for being here. Today I have a book haul for y'all. Not a ton, I've got 15 of them, and I've broken them down into different genres so we can talk about each one. I've got a manga, a couple of romances, some fictions. I have a classic, a YA, couple of thrillers, and then I've got a couple of historicals. So let's get into it. The first book that I have to talk about is a manga. I know some people call them graphic novels, but either way, I have never read one before. I'm trying to expand my reading palette and read from genres that I typically don't read from. I'm normally a romance girly with a little bit of fantasy thrown in and a couple of thrillers here and there, but I'm gonna start with a manga. I'm also trying to read from more BIPOC authors. I could not find anything about this author though. I was all over Google, Amazon, Goodreads. I mean, I've been everywhere. I believe the author's name is Harunadon. I know the author is Japanese, according to what I found on Google, but I couldn't find any other information. But I am excited to read this one. It's called If the Villainess and Villain Met and Fell in Love. It looks like they go to the same school. It's YA, by the way, it's young adult. So it's Bridget and Yuri. I'm sorry if I'm saying that wrong. They go to the same academy, and I guess she is a disappointment to her noble family, and she has been made a mockery by her peers at the academy. Except for this one person. Yuri is not making fun of her. It seems as if Bridget and Yuri might have the same enemies and might have more in common than they think. So they kind of form an alliance. However, he is intelligent and oh so arrogant, but he's also handsome. So there's that. And then they form this friendship, but then I guess he's really uncouth and ill-mannered. It uses the word boorishness. It says his boorishness accidentally sparks a rivalry between them. And so then, even though they become friends, they then get into a competition with each other, but then that competition brings the two closer together than they ever thought. So this is my first book of this book haul, and I am excited to get into this one. The next category of books that I want to talk about are the 5 romance books that I picked up. The first one is called The Love Code by Susanna Nix. I have never read anything from this author, so I'm excited to see about this one. If I like this one, there's going to be 5 more coming out. There are 6 total. They're called the Chemistry Lessons series. I guess they're all STEMinist rom-coms. So this first one is about Melody and Jeremy. Melody had a one-night stand in college, and then some time goes by, and then when she applies for her dream job in LA, she finds out that the CEO's son is Jeremy, and he's going to be working alongside her. He, I guess, has a reputation as a bad boy. He also has a girlfriend. So Melody tries to stay away, but you know, there's some forced proximity with them working together. And then it also says that they're complete opposites, and it says opposites attract. It's not rocket science. So the more they try to stay away from each other, the more they want to get closer to each other. So I'm excited to check this one out. The next romance book that I have is called Love Me by Jessica Saunders. I want to say this is more of a women's fiction romance. This is about a woman named Rachel. She is a lawyer and a mother of 2 who is just as comfortable in the courtroom as she is on the sidelines of a soccer field. Sure, her marriage is on autopilot, but if you ask Rachel, life is good. So she just seems to be going through the mundane, day-to-day life until some racy photos and racy love letters get published in a tabloid that were between Rachel and her superstar ex. So I guess her ex is a famous actor named Jack Bellow, and somebody, I guess, someone that she trusted betrayed them and leaked these photos and these letters to the press. And so it thrusts Rachel into the spotlight, and then she gets reunited with Jack, and then it kind of calls into question her current life and her marriage and what she's wanting. And she starts to ask herself, how did I get here and what do I really want? So I think this is more just I don't want to say it's a coming of age because she's older, but it's more just following Rachel and her life and how she chooses to start the next segment of her life. But it does look like there's going to be some romance in here with the actor Jack Bellow. So I don't know if there's going to be cheating or if there's going to be a divorce, but it's definitely very women's fiction with a side of romance. The next book I have in my romance category is a chonker. This one was released in October of 2023, so it's still relatively new. It's new to me. It is a big book. It's called The Burnout, and it's by Sophie Kinsella. Sophie Kinsella, I have read so many of her books. She is more known for chick lit. You could call it women's fiction, but it's more just chick literature. I've read so many of her books, and Sophie Kinsella is her pen name. Her name is Madeline Wickham. She's British, but this one seems to be also more of a slice of life. Oh, it's about a woman that's burnt out, but then she meets a guy. So, I mean, there is romance, but there also seems to be a mystery category thrown into this. So it says that Sasha is over it all. She's over her job, her friendships, and her non-existent sex life. So she has all these good intentions. She's trying to drink her kale smoothies and go to yoga and find solitude, but nothing's working. So she kind of takes a break from everything and goes to this resort. Well, when she gets there, it's the off season and the hotel is falling apart. And it's not what she thought it was going to be for taking a break. Well, when she gets there, she also meets this grumpy guy named Finn. Finn is also there for the same reasons. He's super burnt out on life. Well, they both have different ways that they want to cope with their burnout. Sasha wants to manifest, go swimming, and eat chocolate, while Finn just wants to drink whiskey. Well, then the mystery aspect comes into play when it says, but when curious messages start appearing on the beach, Sasha and Finn are forced to begin talking about everything. What's the mystery? Why are they both burned out? What exactly is manifesting anyways? They might discover that they have more in common than they think. So again, I think it's more of a chick lit, slice of life, women's fiction with a side of romance, but I'm excited to get to this. And boy, this is a big book. The next romance book that I have is in another interconnected standalone series. So this one is called Wildfire by Hannah Grace. The first one was Icebreaker, and that was about a hockey player and an ice skater. And I really liked that book. I gave it 4 stars. So I'm excited to see about this one. We met this guy. His name was Russ. We met him in the first book, but we did not meet the girl. So it looks like I guess you could say it's a sports romance book, but they're camp counselors. I don't know. Icebreaker was definitely a sports romance book. I was calling this one sports romance, but I'm not sure. They're camp counselors. Would you call that a sports romance? So Russ and Aurora, they don't know each other's names. They meet at a frat party in college and have a one-night stand, and then Aurora slips away before Russ can even get her name the next morning. And then some time goes by, and then the summer approaches, and they both leave Maple Hills, which these are called the Maple Hills series books. They both leave and end up at that same camp as camp counselors, and he is super interested in her. She seems to have tension with him, so she's into him as well. But there is a, no staff fraternizing rule at the camp. And Russ is more of a good boy, and he doesn't want to get kicked out of the camp. But it says Aurora has never been one for the rules. So I'm super excited. And also, he is a hockey player, so maybe we could call this a sports romance book. This came out in October of last year. So again, semi-new, but new for me. My last romance book that I have is called The Perfect Guy Doesn't Exist. This is also by a BIPOC author. Her name is Sophie Gonzalez. I've never read from her before. This is it's a young adult romance, but it's also LGBTQIA+. So again, trying to expand my reading palette and read more queer romances, more young adult romances. So we have this one. This is about Ivy. So Ivy is the blonde one on the front cover. Ivy has the house to herself for a week, and all she wants to do is binge watch her favorite TV show. Well, when she wakes up, the fictional character in that TV show is standing in her living room, and he is convinced that they are soulmates. And so Ivy has to wrangle in her best friend Henry and then also her ex best friend Mac. That's Mac right there on the cover. Not sure why they're ex-best friends. We know that Mac is her neighbor, but Ivy ropes them both into helping with this fictional character named Weston that truly believes he is in love with Ivy and that they are soulmates and belong together. And with Ivy, she says that he's perfect on paper, but the thing is, she is having these these deep-seated feelings for Mac, and she's really confused about it. So I'm so excited to read this book. And this one, I believe it just came out today. Today is actually the release date, March 26th, 2024. So there are 0 reviews right now on Amazon and Goodreads. The next category of books I have are my literary fiction books or contemporary fiction books. So I have 3 of them. This first one is The Vanishing Half by Brit Bennett. Brit is another BIPOC author, and this book actually came out in July of 2020. So it's been out for a while. It has millions of reviews, and I've been wanting to read it. So this is about Stella and Desiree, who are identical twins that run away at the age of 16. And then it says years later, they are living completely different lives when it comes to their families, communities, and their racial identities. So one of them is living with her Black daughter in the same southern town that she tried to escape, while the other twin is living as a white person. She's white passing, and she lives with her husband who knows nothing of her past. It says they're separated by many miles, but they're also separated by just as many lies. And then it says what happens next to the next generation when their own daughters' storylines intersect. So it looks like they've both got kids, and I guess both of them are gonna meet, and one is living as a Black person and the other is living as a white person. And I cannot wait to read this. The next literary fiction book I have is called Pineapple Street by Jenny Jackson. This came out right at a year ago. It came out in March of 2023. And I think it's about 3 sisters. I think all 3 of them are sisters. Sorry, the synopsis is on the inside. So Darlie seems to be the oldest daughter, and I guess she comes from old money. And it says she followed her heart and traded her job and her inheritance for motherhood and gave up so much in the process. And then you have Sasha, a middle-class New England girl who married into the Brooklyn Heights family and finds herself cast as an outsider. And then you have Georgiana, the baby of the family, who has fallen in love with someone she can't have and must decide what kind of person she wants to be. So I think this is more just going to be a slice of life with these 3 women and how their lives, kind of intersect with each other and what they choose to do with the troubles that the 3 of them seem to have gotten themselves in. My last literary fiction book is more of a contemporary fiction. It's called Convenience Store Woman, and it is by, I'm sorry if I say this wrong, Sayaka Murata. I'm trying to say that correctly. I've been learning the different sounds for hiragana and katakana, so I think I'm saying that right. She's another BIPOC author, and this one is about Keiko. Keiko doesn't seem to fit in with anyone, anywhere. She's just going through life. So at the age of 18 years old, she starts working at a convenience store, and then 18 years later, she's still working there. So now at the age of 36, she doesn't have a husband, and her family and her coworkers are all pressuring her to get married and to find somebody. And it says that what she does next is take desperate action. So I'm curious to see how this is gonna go. It seems very short, but it has so many reviews, and it came out 6 years ago. This came out in June of 2018. So let's just see. Her parents wish she'd get a better job. Her friends wonder why she won't get married. But Keiko seems to be doing what makes her happy, and no one can take her away from her convenience store. And also, it's called the Smile Mart. The next category of books that I have is just one book, and it is a classic. So this is The Great Gatsby by F. Scott Fitzgerald. This originally came out a long time ago in 1925, and I have never read the book. I watched the movie with Leonardo DiCaprio so long ago, and I don't even remember what happened. All I know is there is a man named Nick. He gets invited to Jay Gatsby's party, and he gets there, they meet, I guess they strike up a friendship, and I guess Gatsby has a really shady past, and Gatsby is also in love with a married woman named Daisy, and I guess it's just what happens to them during this time in their lives. It's set during the Jazz Age in New York, and I don't remember the movie. It also says that it's going to end in tragedy, so I don't believe there's going to be any sort of happily ever after. I know I heard someone say that she hates Daisy, so maybe there's cheating going on because Daisy is married, but maybe she likes Jay as much as Jay likes her. I don't know anything about this Nick character, where he came from, how he got the invite to Jay's party, but it is considered an American classic, so I can't wait to read this. The next book I have in this book haul is a science fiction book. So this one is called The Colliding Worlds of Mina Lee, and this is also by a BIPOC author. Her name is Ellen O. So with this book, I just want to read the back to you. So when Mina Lee woke up on Saturday morning for SAT prep, she did not expect to, number one, nearly be fried by a superhero who turned out to be a supervillain. Number two, she didn't expect to come face to face with Jin, the handsome boy of her dreams. And then number three, she didn't expect to discover a conspiracy involving an evil corporation that she made up. She's trapped in her own comic world. So it says it's all happening in her fictional webcomic world. Mina is trapped in the story that she created. It's up to her to save everyone, even if it means losing Jin forever. This is relatively new. It just came out a couple months ago, and I cannot wait to dive into this one. It has been a day since I last saw y'all. I'm so sorry. Our cat turned 5, so our cat needed to have a little birthday party. But anyways, let's get back into the book haul. It is the next day. I only have 4 books left. So the next category of books that I have are thrillers. I've got 2 in this section. So this one is called Just Another Missing Person by Gillian McAllister, and it looks like it came out in August of 2023, so not too terribly long ago. It almost looks like a follow-up to her other book called Secluded Cabin Sleeps 6. The writing is very similar, the covers are very similar, but I don't think that they follow each other. She has, I don't know, 5, 6, 7 books out, and they all seem to be complete standalones, nothing interconnected, but it just looks like her other book. So this one, I am kind of confused on the synopsis. It could either be classified as a domestic thriller, but Amazon and Goodreads is also calling it a kidnapping thriller. And I know kidnapping is not a spoiler, but it's about 2 women, Olivia and Julia. So Olivia is 22 years old with no history of running away, but she was last seen on CCTV entering a dead-end alley and not coming back out again, and she's been missing for 1 day and counting. So then the family contacts Julia. So Julia is the detective heading up the case, but this is where it gets confusing. It says Julia knows what to expect: a desperate family, a ticking clock, and long hours away from her daughter and husband. But Julia has no idea how close to home this case is going to get, because her family's safety depends on one thing. It depends on Julia not finding out what happened to Olivia, and then Julia framing someone else for Olivia's murder. So I am confused. Is this a kidnapping case? Is this a murder case? And why is Julia having to frame somebody else? The synopsis literally just talks about Olivia and Julia. However, at the very top it says, in all caps, there's a man out there. His weapon isn't a gun or a knife, it's a secret. And then on Amazon, the synopsis gave a little bit more than the back of this book, and it just said that that guy has a secret on Julia, and that is why Detective Julia is having to frame somebody else for Olivia's murder. But also, is Olivia actually murdered, or is she just kidnapped? I don't know, but I'm curious to find out. The next book that I got in the thriller category would, I guess, be more of a crime fiction. I wouldn't really say that it's a thriller, but it's called Listen for the Lie by Amy Tintera. It just released this month in March of 2024. Also, I'm not sure what I've told y'all since I've been recording for 2 days, but I live overseas. So there's a few books in this book haul that I have received because they're available over here, but they're still not available in the States. And then I know one of the books that I told y'all about, I said, oh, the release date is today. And then I was holding the book. Well, it's because it was available first over here, but I just wanted to clear that up. So anyways, Listen for the Lie by Amy Tintera. So it sounds so funny. It says, you probably already know about me, Lucy Chase, the woman who doesn't remember murdering her best friend. You probably think I did it too. That's okay, I get it. Being found wandering the streets covered in her blood wasn't a great look. Believe me, I'm as frustrated as you are, and I'd love to know if I'm a murderer. It's the sort of thing you really should know about yourself, isn't it? And now, thanks to True Crime Podcast, Listen for the Lie, I finally have the chance to find out. So this is about our main girl, Lucy, whose best friend Savannah was murdered 5 years ago. There was never enough evidence to indict Lucy on the murder, I guess, on saying that she was the actual murderer. She was just a suspect, but everything got washed away because it literally got washed away, all evidence, because it rained that night. And so then when they found Savannah the next morning and found Lucy, they were soaking wet and there was no evidence. They never found the murder weapon. Well, now 5 years have gone by and there's a podcaster named Ben Owens, and his podcast is called Listen for the Lie, and he wants to dive into this investigation. This is his second season doing the podcast. His first season, he and his co-host, they solved a cold case. So now for his second season, he's reopening the Savannah Harper case, I think that's her name, the Savannah Harper murder, and trying to see if Lucy Chase really was the one that did it. I know some people might not want to read this book because Lucy is following the trope of the amnesia defense because Lucy had a traumatic brain injury, but I don't know, I'm super excited to get into this book. The next category of books I have, and my last category, I'm calling them historicals, but again, with every genre, there's subgenres. So this one is called Palace of Shadows by Ray Celestine. It looks like he wrote this, or he published it in October of 2023. So again, not that long ago, but this one, I'm not sure what year it's taking place, and the synopsis is a little bit crazy, but I know some of the reviews, and also it doesn't have a ton of reviews online, but some of the reviews are calling it a thriller. They're saying it's a gothic historical thriller. I'm not sure. I don't know if it's a thriller. It seems more like a mystery to me, but then again, everyone just seems to be crazy about the ending. And I mean, everyone is in the, 100 people that have read this book, but it says, Samuel is a penniless artist adrift in London. His disturbing art is shunned by patrons and critics alike, and his friend Oscar Wilde is now in exile living in Paris. Oscar Wilde, the poet and playwright that wrote The Picture of Dorian Gray and died in Paris in 1900. So maybe this is taking place before 1900, but it says when he's contacted by a mysterious heiress and asked to work on a commission for the house she's building, he accepts the offer. Staying overnight in the local village pub, Samuel is warned not to spend too much time there. He's told of the fate of the house's original architect, chilling tales of folks driven mad by the house, and of it being built on a haunted land where young girls have vanished, their ghosts now calling others to their deaths. So does seem very gothic with the creepy haunted mansion. Historical, as in, Oscar Wilde is his friend, unless this is just someone with the same name. But thriller or mystery, I'm not sure, but we'll find out. It says, it is only on arrival at the Chesterfield house that he learns the sinister details of the disappearances of the girls, and yet its owner keeps adding wing upon wing, and no one will tell him the reason behind her chilling obsession. But as he delves deeper into the mysteries that swirl around the house, the nature of the project becomes something. It's covered up by a Japanese price tag, so I don't know. But I'm curious to see how this book is gonna go down. The last book that I have in this book haul, number 15, is The Song of Achilles by Madeline Miller. So this came out in 2012, so 12 years ago, but this really took BookTube by storm in 2021 and 2022. So 2 to 3 years ago, this was circulating heavily on the internet, and I've been kind of interested since then, but now since I'm trying to expand my reading palette, I've thought, you know what, let's just throw this in here. You could call it a historical fantasy, you could call it a mythology, a Greek retelling, whatever you want to categorize it as, but it is the story, well, the retelling of Achilles and Patroclus, because I think in the mythology side of it, I believe they are friends, and then Achilles doesn't want to go into battle, so Patroclus takes all of Achilles' battleware, goes into battle, and then gets killed by Hector. I mean, that's not a spoiler. That's literally just mythology. We learned that in school. But in this one, in this retelling, you have Achilles, who's the son of the sea goddess and the son of the legendary king. And then you have Patroclus, an awkward young prince. So Patroclus, I guess, gets exiled from his homeland, and then he and Achilles are brought together by chance, and then they begin training together in the art of war and medicine. But then when word comes that Helen of Sparta has been kidnapped, the heroes of Greece are called upon to lay siege to Troy in her name. Oh my gosh, I have not read mythology in so long. This is just so interesting. This is going to be a fun retelling. So, seduced by the promise of glorious destiny, Achilles joins their cause, and torn between love and fear for his friend, Patroclus follows. So, in the mythology retelling, they are just friends, and then Patroclus gets killed by Hector. But in this, Achilles and Patroclus become lovers, and so people also categorize it as a Greek retelling tragic romance. But I don't know, I'm just throwing it in my historical category, but I don't know, I just want to see if I'm going to be interested in this book, and everyone seems to cry, so I would also like to know if this book is going to make me cry. I'm trying to show y'all all 15 of them, not like y'all didn't just watch the whole video and see me holding them each up, but anyways, thank you so much for following along on my little book haul journey, this sweet video with my 15 new books. I can't wait. I would love to do a reading vlog on all of them, but we will just see what happens. But anyways, y'all have a good rest of your day. Bye.